So remember how X started with that shot that made it look like it was in a different aspect ratio, and then we found out it was just the barn doors creating fake borders for the screen? Well, now we're starting further back, which is what this movie is actually doing by going further back in time. It's super neato. Anyway, here's a sin for a barn door time travel symbolism. Also, what kind of Douglas Sirk bullshit is this movie trying to pull me into? There are many sides to Pearl that this movie wants to introduce you to, perfectly encapsulated in this shot of her in a three-way mirror, and announcing it as a serious contender for the Citizen Kane of scarecrow-humping films. Yeah, earn that paycheck, Ty West.
I'm special.
Hey, that's exactly what Maxxxine said in the last movie. Speaking of which, why did we go back to tell the story of Pearl when X left us with a cliffhanger? Why do Pearl and Maxxxine look exactly alike? This is like when the TV series gives you 4 awesome episodes with a mini cliffhanger, and then they decide to make episode 5 a bottle episode. And bottle episodes can be great, but we're talking movies here. This is the big leagues, kid. Saturday Hay Fever.
What are you doing in here, Mr. Goose?
Pearl is about to do to this goose what Pitchfork did to the band Goose's album Dripfield. An alligator that answers to someone calling it by name. If Hollywood had any balls, this would have been the prequel to Lake Placid, with Mia Goth playing Betty White and an alligator playing a crocodile, much like the alligators did in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The movie creates a title for the year that is so big you'll be able to see it in the back of the auditorium that is playing The Woman King.
It's just dancing, Mom. Selfish is what it is.
I'd give all the sins back if we find out this movie does double duty as a prequel to both X and Footloose.
I don't want to hear about any more dead Germans tonight.
Thing my mom constantly said to me after my Wolfenstein sessions somehow makes its way into the script.
My precious Pearl.
Reading. Also, you gotta love how the YMCA gives letter writers nearly the full year on their stationery, as if providing the 191 is some sort of godsend. Bathing in front of your dad.
Pearl.
I didn't want to waste the hot water.
Also, Pearl's mother was super weird after walking in on her dancing in that dress, but I guess it's okay with Pearl taking baths in front of her father. It doesn't get much more progressive than that in 1918.
2 bits, please.
Asking for 2 bits instead of 25 cents or a quarter. And yeah, dominance of the Spanish dollar at one time led to Americans referring to cents as bits. And so also, I would like to send the Spanish. Breaking up your sick father's medicine. Although to be fair, probably so much better than AMC fountain drinks. Movie has time to filly-folly around with these follies.
Poor Johnny's heart went.
Pearl goes to watch a movie at a theater in 1918 that somehow has a soundtrack, which is like nearly a decade too early for that shit. I expect movies to be accurate about movies, movie.
Cigarette? I'll go on. I don't have the bug.
Trusting a complete stranger that just because he says he doesn't have the bug means he doesn't have the bug.
You want to come watch the second show? Free admission.
Oh man, this guy was a quick study in the art of seduction learned by reading The Game, Penetrating the Secret Society of Motion Picture Projectionists. Look, I already gave a sin for the movie having a soundtrack. Now the movie is forcing me to add another because if Palace Follies did have a soundtrack, you'd be able to see it on this film right now. And when we see the projection booth later, they definitely don't have a Vitaphone there, which would have been terribly inaccurate, but would have at least explained the sound.
You showing it again?
Sure, but it's only one frame. Nobody will notice once I splice it back together.
I'll notice, man. I'll notice. Also, the projectionist doesn't add an adult movie frame to Palace Follies like Tyler Durden.
I wouldn't mind seeing you up on that screen one day, Mrs.
Pearl.
Well, if you come back, knock on this door.
Just refer to me as projectionist. My real name is no way important even after we f***ed. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the world came up with the phrase, like searching for a film frame in a corn stack. It wasn't adopted into serious use until 1937, but I'm glad the movie is giving this useful phrase a proper origin story. Man, I haven't seen a scarecrow get this lucky since my boy Cillian Murphy got to bang Lady Macbeth in that Atom Bomb movie, Poppin' Summer. Holy shit, a projectionist is a projection? It would explain a lot about his role in this movie, but it would also raise a lot of questions, so I feel confident in giving this a sin. I'm married. In this version of The Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow sings, "If I Only Had a Brain," only so that Pearl could officially f*** his brains out. Anyway, Pearl pounds a Scarecrow in this movie, if you didn't already know. When a Scarecrow and a woman love each other very much, they have children called straw men that help people win arguments on the internet. That Scarecrow really wasn't doing his job until he was on the job.
Please, Lord, make me the biggest star the world has ever known.
The Lord sees you sexing scarecrows, Pearl. Considering what happens in this movie, I'm not sure what this falling star is supposed to represent, unless it's Pearl's star literally falling as she succumbs to madness. I kind of like that interpretation, except I don't trust anything CinemaSins would come up with, so I guess I'm just going to have to remain in the dark. Anyway, this movie just ripped off Jaws.
Hi, Mitzi. I like your dress.
Oh, thank you. Feels wonderful to finally be able to don something pretty again.
Mitzi's, delivering meat that is still in the shape of the animal the meat came from.
But there's a dance audition this Saturday at our church for a Christmas chorus line. to bring merriment to folks throughout the state during the holidays.
They're doing auditions super late then, because the newspaper Pearl was reading the other day said it was Tuesday, November 5th. So these producers are holding statewide auditions. Remember, the state is Texas, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and hoping to run a 7-city tour to the end of the year. This is the type of thing you do in the summer at least, if not earlier.
Pen!
Somehow, Ruth doesn't hear the door open or any of Pearl's footsteps, even though she's only like 10 feet away downstairs. Also, I can't believe Ruth isn't the type of person to try every single one of these doors to find Pearl. Pearl goes to the movie theater long after it's closed, which is fine. The projectionist did say that he's always here, but I thought he meant that he was always working and not like a resident of the movie theater, where you could just go visit at whatever hour in the middle of the night. Of course, I struggle with whether he's even real or not, so I guess everything in this movie works if Pearl is just imagining it. Leaving your bike here when there was plenty of room in the alley to ride the bike down to the projectionist door. This asshole is still wearing the same shit that he does during business hours.
How about a film nobody else has seen?
Strong move. The projectionist is going to show her an adult film, which worked extremely well for Travis Bickle, making someone watch the movie from the projection room instead of from the comfort of the theater seats. I just used comfort and theater seats in the same sentence.
People pay an arm and a leg to see this.
You may even come across someone who looks like you. We'll just call her, I don't know, Maxxxine, and in 50 years or so, she'll be filming one of these. We'll call them pornos on your property. And then you end up killing all of them, except for Maxxxine. She will actually end up killing you. Weird, right? I'm not even sure where that thought process came from. It's hilarious to me that an adult film is just running unwatched in the projector while they have this talk. Imagine a guy who fell asleep at the last show that the theater staff didn't see when they closed, waking up to this stag film and wondering if he should stay or go.
I should go now.
Considering that the projectionist ran a reel that started and finished during the scene, this means Pearl risked coming all the way out here for, at most, 20 lousy minutes.
What are you staring at?
Oh, cool. They also ported over the character gets angry when people stare thing from X, too. I tell you, this movie is filled with unimportant coincidences. Sure, feeding your dad to an alligator is a sin, but also making the alligator eat its way around the wheelchair is kind of a dick move, too.
Where are you?
Does Pearl actually think that Theta is her pet and listens to her? Wait, is Theta Pearl's pet and actually listens to her? Pearl doesn't know how to alligator correctly. No one will be seated during the 1 minute and 8 second Pearl steals an alligator egg, puts the egg in some hay, and then decides to smash it after yelling at a cow scene. Being judged by Charlie the cow.
But it's freezing out there.
You should have told her that before putting me at risk.
So Ruth finds Pearl's Palace Follies playbill, waits until they're in the middle of dinner to spring it on her, and then banishes her to the barn because she might have caught influenza. And I'm just wondering why this wasn't done way earlier than this if getting sick is the big worry here.
Something more than this.
Man, God is on the ball by sending this perfectly timed thunderstorm to coincide with Pearl and Ruth's contentious argument.
I've seen the things you've done in private. You believe no one is watching.
Parenting.
You are not well, Pearl. It's only a matter of time before you hurt someone else. Malevolence is festering in you. I see it.
Tandy Wright is exceptional as Pearl's mother, Ruth. She is able to both convey the evil, fire and brimstone preaching mother character in Carrie, but also Ruth isn't wrong about Pearl's potential to be a downright evil killing machine if given the chance. It's a parental character in a horror film with all kinds of layers, and that is a rarity that is impossible not to remove at least one sin for.
But when you fail, and you will fail.
I don't know what they were trying to do with this particular trilogy, but you gotta admit that this is the worst Yoda ever. Everyone in Pearl's fantasy is wearing masks except for Howard and Pearl's dad, so that we can see who they are. Meanwhile, Ruth is wearing a mask, but only so she can give us this horrific reveal.
It's hard to know who anyone is nowadays with all these masks people are wearing.
Something tells me there's a subtext here. I don't know what it is yet, but once my head stops spinning from something hitting me directly in the face, I'll figure it out. Pinecone. The original ending of Babe, Pig in the City somehow makes its way into this movie. Also, are you telling me Ruth didn't throw this pig away or at least get it off the porch before it started rotting?
Want to go up to my bedroom now?
Pearl got up early so that she could practice her dance routine for the audition today, but now she's more focused on hoeing it up with the projectionist at the farm. I'm not sure what exactly drives Pearl. I mean, we literally saw the projectionist driving her a minute ago, but I don't mean that. What I mean is her dancing super important, or is it just the positive reinforcement this man, who I'm still not sure actually exists, gives her? Because if all that drives her is the horniness, she could have just stayed in the projection booth for that.
You're not gonna leave me here. I'm not staying on this farm!
I'm not sure I understand exactly how killing the projectionist gets him to take you to Europe. It's almost impossible for a corpse to get a passport. Pearl plunges pitchfork into projectionist peritoneum, proving precipitation into psychosis. Not wiping the blood off your hands and arms before giving your father a bath. I know you might have a murder gene in you, Pearl, but that doesn't mean you can't be a little more sanitary.
You are loved.
Using the pillowcase to smother your father when you had a perfectly usable pillow right there. Why make your murder spree any more difficult than it has to be? Not sure exactly how she's going to get rid of the car if it's not going to sink. I can't imagine Theta could eat the car too. And if she can we just watch that for the next 30 minutes? Bicycle riding, more bicycle riding, even more bicycle riding. Excitement? If you were just passing by this church and saw the auditions today sign, would you know what the hell that means? If you're going to make a special sign, at least mention what the auditions are for. I mean, Pearl knows because Mitzi told her, but what if you didn't have a knowledgeable sister-in-law? Also, I'm glad to see Pearl got into a dress that properly matched the church's doors. Movie gives us over 3 minutes of waiting in line, and we don't even get to ride a roller coaster or snag Pink Floyd tickets at the end of it.
Switch places with me.
That way, it'll sting even more when the director says they're looking for someone prettier and blonder.
Thank you. You're a good friend.
And what exactly are you basing that on, Mitzi? Just a minute ago, when Pearl let it be known that she was only concerned about how she did at the audition and not interested in your performance at all? Or maybe the time your mother and you got chewed off Pearl's property because you were trying to bring her mother a pig? Pearl didn't exactly step in to help smooth things over like a good friend would. All I'm saying is I don't think Mitzi has a clue what she's talking about, and I will send Mitzi any chance I can. 4X Ring. Movie steals the alternate timeline fantasy sequence from La La Land. Also, true to form, Pearl imagines the most hellish USO show possible by having bombs going off every couple seconds while the sound of planes drone overhead. You know, things that soldiers crave hearing and seeing after being in a war zone for months.
You know, more all-American, younger and blonde.
It's at this point I don't know if Pearl is imagining this or if this is a real thing. After all, Pearl is unwell, so she could just be interpreting vague rejection as something specific so she can kill Mitzi later. But also, this is exactly the type of mean thing a director might say during auditions. And to that I say, if you want younger and blonde, then fucking ask for that up front, dude. Why bother going through all these auditions if you don't want anyone else?
Someone with X Factor.
You know, X Factor? That's a phrase that is definitely said in 1918. X Factor! I'm not so upset that Pearl imagines her burnt mother judging the audition. I'm more upset that she doesn't imagine her wearing a mask. No.
How about I take you home?
So, did Mitzi get the dancing gig or not? Come on, movie! Force feed me the answers! I've been ever so good this year!
Is that our pig?
No, Mitzi, it's another pig that some other rich family tried to give to Pearl's family. There's a never-ending rotation of pig givers coming through the area. Didn't you know?
Should I go and fetch your mother?
You know, because that's a very real thing that people do when they enter homes. Fetch mothers. I have no idea that your mother is burnt to a crisp in the basement, so that's why I asked.
I know the first thing about quality dancing.
Did you get the dancing gig or not?
Pretend I'm Howard, and you just say whatever's on your mind.
Ooh, nice. Role-playing. I love it. Could you get into uniform and pretend like you haven't seen a woman in 2 whole years? Could you act like you befriended a French lieutenant who, in private, showed you what he learned in Parisian brothels before the war? Anyway, get out a piece of paper. My fantasy is very intricate.
I hate you so much for leaving me here sometimes. I hope you die.
Okay, there's zero chance we get through this very well-acted monologue that goes on for almost 8 minutes without removing a sit. Mia Goth is just so good in this movie, and this is the scene where she really shines. But also monologues that go on for almost 8 minutes.
I'm sure you don't want to hear about a stranger satisfying your wife.
No, I understand why you think that would upset me, but please proceed. And don't forget to provide details.
What else have you done, Pearl?
Oh, Howard.
Weird that Pearl could keep up the ruse that she's talking to Howard here, but completely and totally forgot the lie she told the projectionist about owning a dog earlier.
I didn't get the part.
It's okay.
Finally! Was that so hard?
You're younger and more blonde.
Technically, Pearl, you're not blonde, so Mitzi is just younger and actually blonde.
Nobody has to know. I can fix things. Can be our secret, Mitzi.
Man, the tension in this scene is unreal. Ty West is pretty masterful here. And are they just gonna keep leaving that milk out on the goddamn table? That is going to curdle. Just so you know, I didn't mean to notice this, but the basmati rice on this pig are no longer moving in the gross manner they were 15 minutes ago when Mitzi noticed it earlier. I demand basmati rice continuity, damn it. That is basmati rice, right? What about that monologue told Mitzi to just be casual as she leaves the premises? Why is she not walking faster? Bringing shouting to an axe fight. It looks like Mitzi's life is the origin story of the woman falls down while being pursued by a killer cliche. So Howard married an axe murderer. Pearl cuts her sister-in-law up into itsy-mitsy pieces, serving food with camera tricks. Also, I've got to give a shout out to the bowl of almonds making an appearance in this spread. It goes very well with spoiled pork, which you would know if you weren't a Philistine. Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper fresco painting circa 1495, a masterpiece of the High Renaissance. Currently located in the frames of Pearl, circa 2022. Nothing like coming home and getting away from all that death and destruction and whoa! Also, Howard does not divorce Pearl after coming home to this. I mean, I guess he can't complain that there's no food on the table. Out of all the scary and disturbing shit this movie and X have to offer, Ty West masterfully makes Mia Goth smiling at the camera for 1 minute and 49 seconds the scariest and most disturbing sequence in the franchise so far. That's giving high marks to both West's directing and Goth's acting. Great stuff. But also ending your movie on someone smiling at the camera for 1 minute and 49 seconds.
It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
I want to dance.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
On a Saturday? It's chore day.
Look at me enjoying corn on the cob.
Pearl,
I don't want to waste the hot water.
I can see your dirty pillows.
What took you so long?
Had to go really rural.
Dear Lord Jesus, I do not often speak with you and ask for things, but now I really must insist that you help me win the election tomorrow, because I deserve it and Paul Metzler doesn't, as you well know.
Sister-in-laws have to stick together, right?
Sticking together is what good waffles do.
Well, I didn't expect to see you again this soon.
Tell me you like my hat.
I'm a cow. A big, hip, fat, nasty, gelatin-ass, buttermilk-making cow.
And maybe that is what you wish for me.
Of course not.
Stop lying! I can't stand the sound of it anymore.
I drive a Dodge Stratus.
Au revoir, Shoshana!
Oh, Pearl, I'm so nervous.
What if they laugh me right off stage?
What if she said no? I don't know if I could take that kind of a rejection.